被我家小朋友说嘛，他这个套里，上街上这边让帮人的，知道他这了，我家套。
I'm drinking milk tea. It's so delicious, and I pray that all my disciples will have such a begging bowl that is filled with milk tea.
Ini saja song la toba, ini kan demi soyang deti jam soye, cukup jiwa me pa rapti jen song, demi soyang deti jam soye, telah ngupo tan cimber cuma me ba, te kang tong saja song la tili sa, tili lama la tili song la longko tuku longko siapa kang tili jasong tawe, nang ram me ba, te 타만 바타베들 거들 다치 도도 그니 양물 사용 세런들이 거들 무보 치마기는 통구요래 지금 오체를 남기니 오 사와 라기 사와를 되는 거 동바한테 사 동지 대도도 동바서도 다送了되니 사지에送了되니 다 돈이 좋은 거는 취탐지 돈이 저거는 되니 사지에 送了되니 되니 하고도 送的那个话讲了，这里这个讲，这米送呀，这些叫做呀，这的送的这些叫做的呢，他去就碰过长尾巴上街嘎他们这里搞有的，这地方的东大的这里，人都在港些讲送，上街他们这上街做的这个什么的，这地方东大忙过的，这里让给的，来给上给送，假如那什么呢？ sempre 그 감당도 치료 걸로 거고요. 근데 제가 추진 걸로도 사지의 성질이 제발 가려는데 늘 가려 가당 뉴모 받을 늘이지. 뉴모 받듯이 봐. 대화섭지 매발치는데 대화도 손남을 줘서 매발서 늘는데 늘라고 되면 내가 늘 타토가 살이래. 너무 다지지. 다지지지. 늘 탐지가 타토가. 다지지지 다시 봐대. 다 맞아서 동도 뭐래. 저야 늘 제제. 나오 냐마디 도도다 코가 토마미거니 내가 까봐 똥도 잡으면 마서 까봐 똥은 나오는데 잡아서 샷하고요 말이 나오다 받는 맛에 버려도 그게 유치해요 말이 나진이 동물들이 나오냐 받은 뭐 때문에 락 세분대로 돈 다진이 맞아 나 맞아 이해 맞아 하고 그 늘 똥이가 잡서 무보통 심에 늘 똥이가 동대 하고서 들이 똑르면 这就这个독라 용시나 배는 무차도 독치버려야지. 그래서 다른 지로 저기 무차도 제별로 독설기에서 무차도 민시보 차요 그래. 이렇게 쪽쪽 다시 해야지. 통조고 차고요. 그러면 무차 도망갈 잡았다 소상들 농로 그래. 독치버려. 이마도 독 인장 사지 털어 개발했더니 민이들도 그래. 독 탐지가 저거 나지 이제 다음에 하고서는 또 다음으로 다시 받았더니甚至 사랑이 차 맞아봐도 동물하니지 그래서 동성요도 타기를 대파통한테 사지送给동물 거를 걔네들 사지 송 탐지 차라 탐지 냄바 이름 나는 만들면 좀 차라 탐지가 들고 보신 맞지 담배를 고속 산초 생배 잡고 그래 그래서 도움을 해서 동담 산초 생배 고속 산초 생배 체배 봐 이제 차오나 동담 산초 생배 뭐 이메가 또 어떻고요 그래서 이시지 납치지 이시는 멘토고요 대회는 듣지 잠소에서 좀 차라 가래는 민치 모래
And then next is the praise to the Buddha's speech, the Guru's speech. And the next page, so it says, with your flawless, melodious speech, like an ocean of ambrosia. So this flawless speech is that who has realized who can show that all phenomena are unborn? How can we understand, how can we realize that the true nature of phenomena? It is through the teachings, the words of the Buddha, of the Guru. And it is said that the speech is related to the Sambhogakaya. So what's the Sambhogakaya? The Sambhogakaya appears just like a rainbow in the sky. It appears clearly and yet it lacks any inherent existence. But to ordinary beings, the form that we see seems to be a solid thing. And for example, we see a Buddha form that is made of earth or gold and so on. We see things this way because of our belief in a concrete reality. And so the actual nature of the mind of all phenomena is clarity and emptiness. So the essence is empty, the nature is clear. And how can we understand that? How can we realize that? It is through the teachings, the words of the Buddha. Through the teachings, through understanding the teachings, we can realize emptiness. You can realize the true empty nature of all phenomena of samsara and nirvana. And then this term, an ocean of ambrosia, so the term for ambrosia is the tutsi in Tibetan, or nectar. And so what that refers to is that, then after that it says you defeat the Mount Meru of views. So there is this like a vast, so coming back to the tutsi, there's this vast accumulation of Dharma teachings, of heaps of Dharma teachings that the Buddha taught. So all of these teachings are the actual word of the Buddha. The Buddha himself had said, I taught the thousands of sutras or teachings and so forth in thousands of different worlds. And for example, just as it is said in the prayer for excellent conduct, he taught them in the various languages of the gods, the languages of the nagas, of the humans, and so forth. The Buddha turned the wheel of Dharma according to the mental capacities of the various sentient beings. And these words of the Buddha, that is the ambrosia or the nectar. So we mentioned the meaning of this term, dutsi or nectar, yesterday. We said that du means Mara or demon, and we said that the actual demon is the afflictive emotions. Because what we call a Mara or a demon is anything that destroys our happiness, that destroys our cause of merit. And then we have also said, what's the ultimate demon? The ultimate demon is our afflictive emotions, our self-grasping. It's the dualistic grasping at self and other. And the Buddha shows through his teachings that such a self does not actually exist. So first there is this Mara, this du, which is the grasping at a self. And it's because of this notion that there is a me and I that we have wandered in samsara since beginningless time. So it is said that the light, a single lamp flame, can illuminate the darkness of 1,000 aeons. So the lamp flame is to see that there is the seeing that there is no self. No amount of self or me can ever destroy the darkness of 1,000 aeons. For as long as this concept of me is present, the continuum of suffering will never be interrupted. And so then, however, when you look at this me, this so-called I, and you see its nature, you realize that it actually doesn't exist. There is no such a thing as a me. And when you understand that a self does not inherently exist, then you also understand that others do not inherently exist. So the du, which is the demon of self-grasping, then becomes kind of consecrated by the elixir, the ambrosia, which is the tea. Tea means like an elixir or an ambrosia, the elixir of emptiness. And so in this way, you are transforming what is poison into something that is medicinal, into an elixir. For example, there's this metal called mercury, which is actually a very powerful kind of metal, and actually part of it is also used in some of the precious pills, like the Rinchen Dr. Dashil, for example. And so the like a special kind of, actually it's poisonous, mercury is poisonous, but it is to some amount, a small amount is mixed with the medicine, and then it is also sealed or consecrated with mantra and visualization and so on. And in this way, that is the skillful means that transforms that poison into a medicine. So that is the Buddha's skillful means of alchemy, of transforming what is toxic into something medicinal. And actually, that is the essence of all poison. It can actually become something medicinal. It has a medicinal kind of seed within it. And so, for as long as it is just poison or the demon, it is self-grasping. But then when you realize that the self does not exist, then it becomes like sealed with or kind of consecrated by this realization of emptiness. So emptiness is this understanding that the self does not exist. And then even though it doesn't exist, there still naturally is this clear mind. So this is what we call the unity of clarity and emptiness. And this unity actually dispels both extremes, both mistaken views. So in this way, you can understand the actual meaning of the Buddha's teachings. And so then the Buddha, all of the Buddha's teachings, whether they are elaborate or concise, they all are included within the two truths. And so for as long as individuals still grasp at a concrete reality and at their concept, the concepts in their mind, at this point they need to cultivate relative bodhicitta. And so these beings need to be first pervaded by relative bodhicitta, and then through the relative bodhicitta, the four immeasurables, then they realize the ultimate bodhicitta. They can realize the non-dual nature of the mind. And this is how the consciousness then matures into primordial wisdom, or the Mara then becomes this vast ocean of nectar. So it can be seen just like the transformation of poison into medicine.
Chugu jiwa mi pa rap ting che, chugu jiwa mi pa se kama yele, jiwa mi pa aso, jiwa mi pa yele ting gombo rupi, sumbari, kang ji le ji pa te ma ji se, te le jiwa rang ji yu ma yin, ji na ra le kang te tong pa ni song, te pe kang le, o tata jang to lap yo le, jang to lap te kai ke song, jang to long te ke, 이 바람도 좋더니 어때 잡수 바람에 제대로 거요래. 들이들 롱디 속세에서는 들이 태홍 나서 봐. 도세탑이 쳐라더니 잡소를 롱인데로 들이 제대로 맞춰 보요래. 대니 빼는 거래. 다레티니 이 제뭐 다시 인진들었더니 들이도 바트 쳐라더니 돈 잡소랑 나서 바람 맞아 빨리 일기 봐서 대회는 들이제 주고 지암이 봐대 지암이 봐대 되게 맞지 뭔가 남편 거기 손나서기 샤핑이나 손 강대야 맞지 지암이 봐대 뭔가 봐대 대바에요 마음과 다다 매일어야 용을 세군대로들 남편 거기 답변 남파다를 속 세군대로를 Teletini, Denji Tinsung, Roma Chapman, so 똑바로 샘송 세고 가장 통카보레시 통카보 넣으니 강해지는 요제 삼촉용 말이 나왔다 그래 매디 매발 제촉용 말이 고대기를 이제 세계에서 오려레시 제래지는 직장마상마들이 끼양마 셈라도 세운내로군이 통을 끼양마 셈라도 줄라도 세운내로군이 요마상 미마상 그래서 오미 따와서 딱콩배 롱르기 장들이 상세게 따와 롱르기 와서 그래야 그때 라면 그때 밤을 동자랑 세운내로서는 이 맞아봐 저 맞을 만내대 봐네 맹친내 대대로 매달 줘서 그러면 나서 노래 맹당 신만에 대봐지 이 말이 주점에 때라더니 말이 주면 나삼 주면 나를 봐서는 봐 주면 봐 망고 저거지 동물들이 생을 맹닥사요 말이 맹닥사면 생매와야지 매와야 말이 요바 많이 자베인데 마색 미바 많이 코데 그지에서 세우대로 되는 요미가 타야 돼 봐라 다 가시고 제양 마셈라데 추라도서 제가 요미 직접 마상 sem세가 되는 그 라지가 생군도 따서다 맨 상통도 그거래 다른 sem나 동상 생각나는 로요래 또 bakang sem나 왔다 때렸다 양도에도 공존나 들이 딱 맞지 따지래 라가 돌리마도 이제 또야 매서 대피가 코피 프랑스 바나지서 이 코피 프랑스 그야시죠 가는 코티 나모도 초코요 코바케 프랑스 나모도 나모체 다리 토야 요 말이 라가 초가 요야 초가데 아시보다 대동이 시에서 이 시대는 이미 봐 예니 요베 예시사 답지 10에 시시사송 이 때려때리더니 예리 토방 코와 토마미만 난과의 요리 망과의 요리 다다 요리 난과 요리 요를 가려는 두보서 삼매와 대회에 또 가서 리사고 책가라고 책부터 때렸다 하다 잡으면 사실 강하면 직접 나선 서로 직접 나동 라게 셈을 때나 셈콩을 이든 난과다 다티들은 대지를 타게 그냥 무슨 라데 출았다 해서 제가 선물마다 왔대 타줘도 사치 가가면 타줘라고 타줘 그래 그러니까 선물 찍어서 나또 탐지가 잘 셈사고 셈가람이 죽었을 때라 대하고도 대다도 선거 때들이 이기게야 그래 어때서 그 사제가 선합을 배나 대다로는 대해서 다 주고 지와미 바라대도 지와미 바들 따뜻 돈아마 뭐시 고로를 로르과 맨날 맞잡라 하고 말이 너 첫들은 로르고 잡네 다다 사치 가가면 돼 약속이 그냥 맞으러 tiktok 맞을 셈을 때는 셈들 나오고 야야한테 나가다라 비샤 오 세고내는 거니 되레스 대하고서나 그리디 언질언질 남장게 송은 내력도 나 추바코로 메서 다다 추살로 자라 챤냥 세고내로도 또도 테스트 추바를 초인송 동때 지내로도 또 나더니 빌메라를 빼야겠다고 송을 다다 내력 데려드리서 끼와미 봐송 데레
And then it says here, you show all phenomena to be unborn. So it's unborn, regarding the unborn nature. And Nagarjuna said that whatever arises is unarisen. There is nothing whatsoever that actually arises. Whatever arises due to independence on a cause or a condition. And for this reason, things are empty of self-nature. So things appear just like the waves on the ocean. So how does a wave appear on an ocean? The wave appears because a wind blows. And then we see the wave and we call it, oh, there is a wave on the ocean. And then when the wind is blowing really strong, then it can lead to a tsunami and flood a whole city. So it can become very powerful. So this wave can become really powerful. And this wind that blows into the water is an analogy of the afflictive emotions. So first, there is a self, and because of seeing a self, we see other. And due to this dualistic perception of self and other, it steers the afflictive emotions in the mind. And then the steering then manifests the afflictions as a powerful wave on the ocean. That actually does not exist on its own. There is no separate wave. The wave just appears in dependence on a condition, which is the wind blowing. So ultimately, the nature of all phenomena is unborn. In the Heart Sutra, it says, it is unborn, unrisen, it is unceasing, it abides as the essence of space. So it is unarisen, it doesn't come from anywhere, and it is unceasing, it will never cease to be, the mind will never cease to be. And it is unabiding, so there is no location where it is right now. And yet it can never disappear. So its essence is like space. And Thigden Sumgön said in the 7 verses of supplication to Tara, the mind is so difficult to realize. It's so difficult to see the true nature of the mind because we can't think of it in terms of there is something that exists because it's like space. But then one also cannot cling to the idea of there is nothing, it's non-existent, because again the mind is the basis of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana. So it can neither said to be existing nor can it said to be non-existing. So the way to get to it is by thinking nothing. Because when we think in terms of existence and non-existence. So don't think of the mind in any way as either being this or that or in an affirming or negating way. That is also called, now by those who have studied the scriptures, the view of the Madhyamaka, the middle way. And so there are many ways of explaining it according to the scriptures. Now there are many ways of explaining the ultimate view or the nature of the mind, but in simple terms, you can look at your mind directly and see that it does not inherently exist. And there is something that's there that does not really inherently exist. It is something that is beyond any labeling. You can't really call it anything. So it is also said, for this reason, it is inexpressible. It cannot be expressed by words, nor can it be thought of by thoughts. One can't even think about it. So the nature of the mind is beyond any designation or a name or any kind of label. So even though you can't express it in any way, also, does that mean now, so if you can't really conceive it, does it mean that it doesn't exist? It doesn't mean that. It is that it does not exist because even the Buddhas have not seen it. But it doesn't not exist because it is the basis of samsara and nirvana. It transcends existence and non-existence. And so the best way to describe it or get to it is by thinking nothing. And in the Ganges Mahamudra, that is explained in one line where it says, without a single thought, decisively look at your true nature. So don't think anything and look directly at your mind. And that mind that you experience is sometimes also called the vipassana or the insight into the nature of the mind. But when you look at your mind directly and you see the mind it becomes completely empty. It is like the emptiness goes into your heart. There is not a single thought, a single fixation in the mind. And so that must be habituated continuously. And finally, through habituation, you realize its nature. And what you have discovered is something that you can't really show to others. For example, it's like a mute person eating molasses. So the mute person can taste the sweetness of the molasses and can feel how good it tastes, but they cannot express it. They can't speak about it because they're mute. So they can't express how this feeling is, but they can still feel it. And so it's just like that when you see the mind. There is this taste, this experience, this feeling of bliss and emptiness that can't be expressed by any word. This primordial awareness. Primordial because it has been there since beginningless time. And awareness or wisdom because it knows everything. It has been always there, like space. Just like space. Space is there now and it will always be there in the future. It will never disappear. And yet you can't really point your finger at space. So in a very simple terms, you just directly look at your mind. And according to the Ganges Mahamudra instruction, without a single thought, decisively look at your mind. So without any doubt, directly you look at your mind. And then it naturally becomes just like space. And then you just continue on within that space-like state, decisively, without any doubts about it, without any thought about it whatsoever. So actually, through the Ganges Mahamudra, the Ganges Mahamudra is actually an excellent way to really decide upon the nature of the mind. So without a single thought is without thinking about anything whatsoever. Even though there is not a single thought, the mind is completely clear and conscious. And all that is to be done is to continue on within that state until you completely realize the nature of the mind. So if you have seen it through such a personal experience, trust in it will arise. You will know certainly, with certainty, that this is it. And this knowledge arises also due to the Buddha's blessings. So this unborn nature of all phenomena here, the unborn nature of all phenomena is explained really extensively in the various scriptures and so forth, but they are all hard to understand and could be quite complex. And however, it can also be explained and understood in very simple terms. The best way to understand it is really that quote in the Ganges Mahamudra, where it says, without a single thought, decisively look at your true nature. So you look at your true nature without thinking, and the mind just on its own naturally becomes like space. And then there will be this moment where you know this is the true nature of the mind. You just know that. And the omniscient Longchen Rabcham had said, when you realize the nature of your mind, there is no higher learning than that, nothing more to learn than that. So even if someone might have studied the scriptures and so forth for 100 years, when they realize the nature of their mind, that is the greatest learning. There's nothing higher to know than the nature of the mind. And also we have mentioned what Milarepa had said about the unborn nature of the mind. And so about the unborn nature, how can we really gain certainty and really understand the unborn nature? To understand the unborn nature, we need to understand emptiness. And so how can we understand emptiness? It is through understanding the impermanent nature of all compounded phenomena. This is what the Buddha himself had said. Because if you tell sentient beings just plainly everything is empty, that alone will not help them eliminate their fixation to a concrete reality. The way to make them understand emptiness is by telling them things are impermanent. All compounded phenomena are impermanent. And when they understand that, then they will be able to understand emptiness. So for today, we stop the teachings here and continue with the Mani recitation.
In the Chenrezig Sadhana, the dissolution, on page 7.
Tenzin
At the end of the session, the universe and beings melt into light and are absorbed into myself. I then melt into light and dissolve into the three. The three subsides into the natural state devoid of thoughts. I rest in it as long as it remains. When thoughts proliferate anew, I manifest again as the exalted Lord. The Mani dedication.
so sa dang ta da yo ba nam je ya de lo nian bo ye de do men jo wa jo o ma ne be me wa le jian de wei ba ma lo bo da nian de de ro re je de ba nam gom bo je re se je lam na ro de wa jian de je wa jian je lo o ma ne be me wa ren de la de ne ja da mo so ye ne do da ge ce le de na gom bo je re se je la na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren ma jie je be zhen jie ren jie da me jie song be jian dai po mo na gom bo jie re se jie lam na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren go zon do de la ma gen go go le de ze den be sen je na gom bo jie re se jie la na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren de jo ja lo ban da men en jie de me yo jian en san jiao wa na gom bo jie re se jie la na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren me ge jia dan za me ma bo dan de dai nian ai jue ve le nge na gom bo jie re se jie lam na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren o ye ja mo lan jian ba dai xian bu se ga lan bu se ne nam gom bo jie re se jie la na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren jie wa na ve de da me ge do jie de gan jie zhen de ma le ba gom bo jie re se jie la na zhō de wa jian de jie wa jian jie lo o ma ne be me wa ren zhe xie mo xie la ro jie ro soi gemi demi pardon jamana gombo Chenrezig la na ro de wa jen de je war chen ye lo o ma ne be me o je o jo dong be man de zhen jie dai xia zhe zui be sim jie ma le ba gong bo Chenrezig la na zhong de wai jian de jie wai xin jie la o ma ne be me wan ren me chuo ga ga yong ba zhe jian dai men zhuo na bo mo se mo ba na gong bo Chenrezig la na zhong de wai jian de jie wai xin jie lo o ma ne be me wan ren wu zai gam song ma ren zang be le de jie len zang le de nie wo nam gong bo Chenrezig la na zhong de wai jian de jie wai xin jie lo o ma ne be me wan ren yong wai jian bo ma lai ne jie de zui jie zo me cha ra sim jie na gong bo Chenrezig la na zhong de wai jian de jie wai chen jie lo o ma ne be me wan ren nyar wai ye da den zhuo la ma ye la me la zoi ga zoi zen jie na gong bo Chenrezig la na zhong de wai jian de jie wai xin jie lo o ma ne be me wan ren jiu jue xian gam ran jian da len de jie deng bai ga wei sim jie na gong bo Chenrezig la na zhong de wai jian de jie wai xin jie lo o ma ne be me wan ren om ba za za do za ma ya ma ne ba la ya ba za za do de no ba de ra de ra me ba wa so de ga yo me ba wa so be ga yo me ba wa na ra do me ba wa sarva zede mamba ya za sarva karma su za me zedam yam goro hong ha 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 ho banga wen sarva da danga da ba za ma me men ba za ba wa ma samma ya sa do.
Now we'll do the descent of blessings from the Red Chenrezig Sadhana on page 11, the handout.
ni lar sarve tozo hong le wen zhe lama ren zen zaba sum je to ju kor tam je zhen de ba dar jo ne Jin la wang grong zhe zoi xian zhe le zhe bar zhe.
From the life force, the hum at the heart of myself manifest as the deity, light radiates, imploring the Guru's knowledge holders and three roots mind streams. When every one of them has come like gathered clouds, blessing, empowerment, and cities are bestowed and activities are accomplished. Om Pri. From the very state that is completely pure and free of elaboration appear the principle and retinue, self-dynamism of unhalting compassion. Send down upon this place the resplendence of your body, speech, and mind, and grant the 5 wisdoms supreme empowerment.
Sarva Samaya Om Mane Padme Om Mane Padme
Thank you. Om Ahom, Om Ahom.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And please be sure to submit your mantra accumulations on our website, garchen.net, on the event page. If you have accumulated up to 10,000 mantras, then you can submit them there. And if you've accumulated more than that, or your center is combining totals from everyone's accumulations, please email them to registration@garchen.net, and we will add them. Thank you so much. And join us for the afternoon session at 3 p.m. Arizona time.